Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. This week, the UFC announced that Sanko will be joining the commentary team for UFC Vegas 68, Derrick Lewis versus Serghei Spivac. And I wanted to make a video discussing the UFC's commentary as a whole, and also something that I feel like nobody is talking about in reference to Sanko joining the commentary team for this upcoming UFC event this Saturday. And I believe it is an absolute embarrassment to the UFC. We'll talk about that later in the video. But also I want to discuss, does Sanko deserve this job? How do I think she will do? And I'm also going to talk about Joe Rogan, Jon Anik, Michael Bisping, Daniel Cormier, and some of the other commentators for the UFC who I've talked about, ad nauseum on different streams. But I've always been meaning to make a video about them. So first off, apparently Sanko will be commentating UFC Vegas 68. And apparently the UFC had a female commentator way back when. I'm not even sure what year it was. It was long before my time. But Sanka will make history in being one of the first female commentators for the UFC, for a UFC Fight Night card. And Sanko, she's been around for a while. She's worked backstage, doing backstage interviews for a while. She recently, I believe within the last 2 years, started doing commentary for Dana White's Contender Series. And now she's going to do commentary for a legitimate UFC card, which is this weekend, Derrick Lewis versus Serghei Spivac. And, I look at the UFC's commentary team as a whole. You mainly have Joe Rogan, Jon Anik, Daniel Cormier, Michael Bisping. There's some other in there, but I'm going to talk about the main ones. Joe Rogan used to be my favorite commentator, okay? Him and Mike Goldberg were a legendary team. And I really believe over the past, I'll say 4 or 5 years, Joe Rogan has gone significantly downhill in terms of his commentary. And I think he's more geared toward looking for those viral reactions. He just tries to have this crazy reaction where he grabs a hold of DC and John Anik just so it'll go viral online. And he's less focused on intelligent commentary. And, it's sad for me to say this, but Joe Rogan's probably my least favorite commentator. And people are going to say, oh, you're just a Rogan hater. I've had people tell me this before when I've talked about it on different live streams. No, when you compare Joe Rogan to the Rogan we had, 2013, 2014, back when he was commentating with Mike Goldberg, Joe Rogan's commentary has fallen off a cliff. I literally believe you could give me a Joe Rogan soundboard and I could sit here and watch the fights and click buttons and it would be damn near the same, Oh, he's in real trouble here. She's in real trouble here. There'll be a button, speculate about an injury. That's pretty much all he does. And then it's like, half the time, he doesn't even know the scoring criteria. He'll be talking about, well, they got that takedown at the end of the round. How much does that really mean? Well, it means nothing, Rogan, because there was no damage done along with that takedown. If you knew the rules, knew the judging criteria, you would know that. And I think Joe Rogan's just so popular in terms of, his podcast and all those other things. And I think he's so rich now. I think he's just checked out. I don't think he pays attention to the sport as much as he used to. I don't believe he's a hardcore fan. I think he just shows up. He's a media personality. He's super popular among casuals. People know who he is. And I think the UFC just basically has him there to have him there. And, I know they've dialed back his appearances, or he's dialed back his appearances over the last few years. He only does events in the United States. He doesn't travel to Brazil anymore. He won't travel to Australia anymore. But I think Rogan is getting to a point where we almost need to get rid of him, because all he cares about is viral reactions and speculating on injuries and saying, oh, he's in real trouble here, or just screaming, oh, a million times. I don't think the UFC commentary right now is geared towards, it used to be a mixture of reaction, but also educating fans. And now all it is over the top, over exaggerating, screaming at the top of your lungs. You have Daniel Cormier, him and Rogan together, I think is one of the worst combos. And I know some people think that's the best combination. Daniel Cormier, half the time, him and Joe Rogan there's something big going on in the fight, and him and Joe Rogan are talking about something completely different, or they're speculating on an injury. They're like, oh, the way that foot's moving, the way he's holding that hand, Even when Rogan isn't at events, I can't remember what event it was. I think it was back maybe 277. Rogan's texting John Anik. Yeah, the way somebody's holding their hand, I think we got an injury here. So Rogan is completely checked out. I don't think he cares about the sport as much as he used to. And I think he's just showing up and he's just kind of phoning it in and just looking to have, viral reactions that get shared around on social media. And DC is kind of the same thing. And I think DC ruins legendary moments by just saying the dumbest stuff. You've heard over the years, I'm sure you guys have seen, where there's be a legendary football play or a legendary, baseball play even, and the commentary will be legendary as well. And it's almost like Daniel Cormier, and I'm going to get to John Anik in a second. It's almost like they're trying to have this legendary moment rather than just focusing on talking about what's going on and reacting to it in real time. Case in point, when Rose Namajunas finished Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Daniel Cormier just screamed Thug Rose 150 times into the mic. Absolutely ruined the moment. I hate even seeing the replay when they have the audio because it's terrible. Then you have John Anik. I like John Anik. I think he does a pretty good job. But the pre-scripted corny lines just have to go. Glover breaks through at 42. Little brother or big brother, you're up next, when he was talking about the Bonfin brothers. The pre-scripted corny lines by John Anik have to go. We need to sign a petition. I don't know what he's doing with that. I think he's kind of doing one of those things where he wants those legendary commentary moments to just live in infamy forever by coming up with these lines. And I really think he's sitting in his hotel room the day before events, just kind of scripting these lines in case certain scenarios happen within the fight. There's a litany of them that I could come up with right now. If you can think of any corny John Anik lines, please comment them down below. I know there's a long list of them. I'm not going to sit here and mention all of them. And, before I get into the Lauren Sanko situation, how I think she will do, and also what's embarrassing about the UFC putting her own commentary, I will say I do enjoy Paul Felder's commentary, and I do enjoy Dominic Cruz's commentary. I really do believe they're probably the two best. They stick to the action. They're kind of educating about the sport, but also they're having real reactions. I don't feel like they're purposely being over-exaggeratory just for the sake of looking for a viral moment. So I really enjoy Paul Felder and Dominic Cruz's commentary. Michael Bisping. I'm not going to spend too long speaking about Michael Bisping. I don't even know if he's watching the fight. I know he has one eye. The commentary is atrocious. He's constantly scoring fights that isn't even remotely close to being accurate. He's talking about other things when there's big moments going on in fights. And Bisping, I hate fight nights where Bisping's on commentary. And I'm not sure who all is going to be on commentary with Lauren Sanko this weekend or Laura Sanko this weekend. But I hope it's not Bisping because he's just atrocious. We need to get rid of him completely. Now, Laura Sanko is making her commentary debut this Saturday. And I think a lot of people are going to say that Sanko just got this job because she's good looking. I think there's going to be a lot of people that say that. And I think that's factually incorrect. She has been around the sport forever. She used to compete in the sport. I think she had a fight back in like 2012, 2013 in Invicta. And she's very knowledgeable on the sport. She's done commentary for Dana White's Contender Series. She's been doing backstage interviews for the UFC probably for the last, I want to say 7 to 8 years, something along those lines. And I do believe that Sanko has earned this opportunity to do commentary for a fight night. And honestly, even though, I haven't watched every single Dana White's Contender Series episode, but I have watched some with Sanko on commentary. She seems like she knows what she's talking about. And I don't think she's put there. You see some of these, women on the sidelines of the NFL, and it's not all the time, but you feel like there's certain times where they're just put there because they are attractive and not because they actually know the sport. And in Sanko's situation, she actually knows the sport. I think there is a chance, actually a high probability, that she probably does better commentary than Daniel Cormier, better commentary than Michael Bisping for sure. I think she'll blow Michael Bisping out of the park in terms of quality of commentary. And, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. I think she could probably do better than Joe Rogan. And I think because she's a female and because there's going to be a lot of people doubting her and hating on her for doing commentary, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there, with their pitchforks complaining about her commentary. And I think she's probably going to do just fine. I don't think any of these UFC commentators do a great job, but that's why the bar is so low. I think Sanko can do a fine job compared to the rest of the field. Where I think it's an embarrassment for the UFC is they decided to take Laura Sanko and throw her on UFC Vegas 68, Derrick Lewis versus Serghei Spivac. This is a garbage card. I mean, look at the co-main event. Da Ung Jung versus Devin Clark, co-main event. Marcin Tybura versus Bagoy Ivanov, featured fight. I mean, this is one of the worst cards in UFC history. And to top it all off, the prelims start at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The main card starts at 1 a.m. Eastern Time. I honestly think the UFC looked at this card. They said, you know what? This is a garbage card. We're having it at the UFC Apex. Probably nobody's going to tune in anyway because of the start time. And I really believe they said, let's throw Sanko on there. Let's let Sanko get her feet wet. Let's see how she does because this is a garbage card. I would have no problem. They threw her on a decent fight night. They even threw her on a pay-per-view. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Again, it can't be any worse than Rogan in DC. But I think it's kind of embarrassing. They said, look, this is a terrible card that probably nobody's going to watch. Let's throw Sanko on there. We can let her get some experience doing commentary because this is a garbage card anyway. I think she's earned more than that in my personal opinion. And I just think, it's one of those cards. And for those of you who don't know, I've got a bunch of comments about this. They said, why is this card starting so late? This card was originally the South Korea card. And the Korean Zombie was supposed to be the main event. I think he was supposed to fight Giga Chikadze, if I'm not mistaken. And they built this card for the South Korean market. And once the Korean Zombie fell out, they decided, well, we're not going to have it there anymore. This card really shouldn't sell tickets because the Korean Zombie's out. But they wanted to still, I guess, cater to that market in terms of what time the card airs. So that's why the card is airing so late, the main card, 1 a.m. Eastern Time. And I just think it's really strange that they're like, you know what? We don't care about this card at all. We didn't put any quality fights on this card. It's not airing at a decent time. Let's put Sanko on commentary. She can't mess this up. I really do think that's embarrassing. I wouldn't mind them giving her a better opportunity. And I really just think it kind of dumbs down the situation a little bit and just really is a bad look for the UFC in terms of the worst possible card ever. I can't harp on that enough. This card is terrible. I'm always up late. I can't sleep anyway. I don't want to watch this out of spite. Derrick Lewis versus Serghei Spivac has nothing, no relevance to the division. And, they said, let's throw Sanko on this card. But I think she will do more than an okay job. I think the bar is so low, she really can't mess it up. And honestly, I think she's going to be better than Joe Rogan in DC. That's my hot take for this video. Laura Sanko will be better than Daniel Cormier and Joe Rogan in the commentary booth. But we'll see. We'll see how she does. I don't know if I'm even going to watch this card. I might watch it on a rerun and just listen to the commentary to see how she does. She's very educated on the fight game, and I'm sure she'll do a fine job. And hopefully, the UFC gives her a bigger and better opportunity in the future after, substituting in for whoever on this terrible card, UFC Vegas 68. Let me know what you guys think. How do you feel about Sanko being on the commentary team? How do you feel about UFC Vegas 68 in general? And let me know what you think about the UFC's commentary in general. What do you think about Rogan, DC, John Anik, and his corny lines? Glover breaks through at 42. Let me know about all that down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.